good evening. Welcome, everyone. Thank you all for coming. My name is Deniz Göktürk. I'm a professor here in the Department of German, also affiliated with Film and Media. And I'll be your host this evening for the Mosse lecture by our distinguished guest, Sergei Loznitsa. I would like to begin with the thank yous, of course, by thanking the Mosse Foundation for their continued generous support for this series of public humanities events organized by the Department of German since 2016. Mosse lectures are held at a number of universities, first at Humboldt University in Berlin, but the Mosse lectures here at Berkeley have developed their own particular brand and flavor with a focus on public media, reflecting particularly on the social and cultural role of cinematic media. And this is the third Mosse lecture that we are able to hold here at the Pacific Film Archive in conjunction with the residency of a prominent filmmaker. Past guests have been Ulrike Ottinger and Werner Herzog. And these events have been highlights of my intellectual life here at Berkeley. It's been an enormous pleasure to collaborate with head curator Susan Oxtoby. She's there, and in planning this residency of Sergei Loznitsa. It was her idea to invite Sergei, and we are delighted that various other units on campus, the Department of Slavic, the Institute of Slavic, East European and Eurasian Studies, and the Townsend Center for the Humanities have come on board and participated in making these events such a success. We feel we've been weaving new alliances between Slavic and German during Sergei's visit. In addition, tonight also marks the opening of the documentary Voices series that I had the pleasure of co-curating with Kate McKay, there in the back, in conjunction with my course on documentary forms. Hello, students. Welcome. We figured it would be a stimulating kickoff for the series to have a conversation on documentary. The program, the spring program, has been published, and you will see that there are many exciting screenings and conversations ahead this spring, including another Mosse lecture by video artist Pınar Öğrenci in April. We are so fortunate to have the wonderful Barbara Osher Theater as a place to convene and converse in these difficult times. And a lot of behind-the-scenes work goes into curating and staging these events, negotiating with filmmakers and distributors, writing program notes and publicity, and making sure that everything runs smoothly. We are most grateful to the curators and all the staff here at BAMPFA, yes. The front desk, the projectionists, the ushers, everyone, for opening their operation to colleagues and students across campus. I think they all deserve a big round of thanks and applause. And now to our guest of honor this evening, Sergei Loznitsa, a prolific and enormously productive filmmaker who has been garnering much international recognition at Cannes and other festivals. Having studied mathematics and engineering at Kiev Polytechnic Institute and worked in artificial intelligence research for some years, while also translating from Japanese, he decided to pursue a career in film and attended the Russian Institute of Cinematography in Moscow, where he graduated in 1997. Later in 2001, he moved to Berlin, Germany, and he's been making steadily at least one film a year, overall more than 30 films, working both in documentary and fiction. And in fact, you will have an opportunity to see two of his fiction films this week. Where is it? In the Fog on Friday afternoon. And then on Saturday evening, A Gentle Creature. So there are two more features length screenings coming up in the series. So watching and discussing a selection of his recent work over the past weekend, The Invasion and the spectacular archival films such as Babi Yar Context, has been an immensely thought-provoking experience. I've been hearing from students that after watching The Natural History of Destruction, the film about aerial warfare, we now look at clouds differently, and we feel a bit like those people in 1930s Germany dancing in the face of impending doom. These films really resonate very uncannily at the political juncture that we find ourselves at in 2025. Tonight, we are in for a treat. Sergei will first introduce his 2004 short film, Fabrika, Factory, a beautifully poetic film about industrial labor. And we are very fortunate to see a 35mm print of this film. Factory, in a way, is shown especially for students of documentary forms in correspondence with our focus on cinematic approaches to work routines. Sergei refers to Factory as his response to Vertov. I expect we shall be hearing more about that in a minute. After the screening of Factory, Sergei has a surprise in store. He will show us another short film of a very different kind, and talk us through his composition of archival material and his work with sound. So that example will also highlight his fine sense of irony, which might not be obvious at first sight given the dark and heavy themes of his films, but which I've come to appreciate over the course of the screenings and conversations of the past days. After all that, we'll have an opportunity for conversation with questions from the audience. I hope you will all enjoy the program, and please join me in welcoming Sergei Loznitsa to the stage.
Okay. Good evening. And thank you for coming and thank you for inviting me. Yep. Factory, it's a film, one of the examples of the film which I shot without any idea. It was, for me, it was such a beautiful time when I always wrote the same script, which the title of that script, Travel from St. Petersburg to Moscow. Everything can happen. So, and receive from Culture Ministry in Russia, like $30,000 for film. And something just wrote inside, but nothing special, nothing which connect to this film. So, and after that, normally, before I start film, I have only few sentences which describe concept, idea. And when I start to work, I just find the way how and rules for this concept, how to express this idea in visual way with the sound. So, but in that case, I just knew from my friend that exists old factory which produced bricks, and it's a good texture, and it was before German production and belongs to the Krupp Corporation in Tsar time. And this is in middle of Russia between St. Petersburg and Moscow. In this moment I fit to my script. So, and we came with color negative Fuji, six reels, 10 minutes each. And we, first of all, I came to the chief of that factory, and I said, okay, hello, we would like to shoot inside. He said, oh my God. After, yes, it's a normal reaction, even in Russia, because nobody know who is these guys and what they want. So, and finally, they give us permission and add to me some people who observe what I'm doing. So, but we work in so boring way because they're thinking that I will shoot in a way that I will make an interview and one day and that's all. No, we just put light. We have for this shooting one light, very simple. But once we switch this light in this net, electricity is destroyed. It's an old factory. So finally, they just said, okay, do what you want. And did not control us, and we shot what we shot. And I spent one day just visit in every corner of that factory. And thanks God, they have a different kind of technology inside, old technology, but different. And idea came to me when I just shot day by day. We spent like 2 weeks there. And after I have this, I made this film, and it was a first film which for which I made Dolby Stereo. Before, all films was mono. 2004. It's 2004. Okay, that's all. Now we can watch 30 minutes. Thank you, and we can start. Okay. Now you know how cinema looks like, yes? Beautiful and boring. BB. So, but yeah, this is film. And unfortunately, it consists from 2 reels, and it was cut out by projectionist somewhere, I don't know where. Intertitle. It is chapter 1, which named Still, and chapter 2, it's clay. Yeah, and it was like they cutting out intertitle chapter 2. So and not divided to these two chapters between each other. So, but the rest is correct. And so sound designer spent in this factory 2 days. He recorded everything, and he said, "Sergei, I can go. I have everything already." So it means that we are not recording sound in sync, and after that, all this symphony, because nothing sounded like that, all symphony we created after. So, and what I would like to show the simple things. First part is like creative process where people like gods, like children of Gefest. And second part where the work kill people. You know, and we have always this slogan everywhere, this work created men, and work also can kill men. So, and the starting point for this film was one poetry from a Russian poet Alexander Blok, which named it Factory. The first line is в соседнем доме окна желтые. In the neighborhood house, the window is yellow, and etc. So, and now I would like to, because we are in archive, yes, I would like to show and explain how I work on this. It's the latest film. I made it in 2021, and this film was made by, it is here. This film, like I would like to show example how I made it from our archival footage and how idea came to me, and I just once French producers from Pelléas Film Company, they came to me and offered to make a film which commissioned by Paris Opera, Opera Garnier. And Opera Garnier invited different directors for making short films, and they post this film online to attract viewers. And whatever I want, but from archive. Okay, because before I made films from archive, okay. I said, okay, what kind of archive it is a conversation, what kind of archive you have? And they said, okay, it is some rehearsals, fragment of performance, interviews with singers, and fragments from film magazines, from newsreels about visits to the opera by kings, president, queens, and leaders of different countries when they came to Paris for official negotiation, for meetings with the president of France. And it was a kind of part of ritual to come at the evening, visit opera. In that moment, I catched idea. I said, okay, I will do that. And they did send me footage. And after that, we just, with the editor, we divided this footage and distributed in different folders and already created structure of that film. And yes, I decided to make a film about opera from the point of view of the person who don't know anything about it. If it's possible. Let's make the description of that. Let's make it from the beginning. And now just, and also I divided this film by parts. Part 1, introduction. It's always like that. Introduction. Okay, let's start. Sorry, falsch start. That's all. Introduction is over. What I have here, it just explains simply. First shot, Musa, this sculpture facade of that theater. We just look from down to up, yes? If we look to her from down, okay, next shot. Up, down. Crowd, people. Aha, interesting. Emotion. Yes, every shot develop idea, emotion, interest. And doesn't matter, this is a day, it was night, nobody count, just concept, interest. Okay. To my film. And after ritual. And the white plan was what we have deal. Okay, very nice building and some, guards. They expect somebody. Very good. Let's go. Starting with this is sound of this thunderstorm. And also we choose immediately this music. If we talk about opera, of course, the manifest of that, it's the Mozart overture for magic flute. Again. is this lady? First guy who was... No, first guy at the beginning. Kto. So, end of this first act. So, opera, it's a nice building surrounded with a crowd. Crowd are very interesting what happened inside. And they observe nice people who just come and guards staying around. And they just arrived and they are well dressed. They are maybe famous and beauty. Let's go inside. So, third part. Second part, that inside is even better. More even, Pier Paolo Pasolini also visit opera. So, and more attractive people and, okay. Third part, just how it looks inside. So. Stage, parterre, balcony. So, not everybody arrived. So it was a time for VIP, and now VIP stream on these very famous stairs in Opera Garnier. This is king, queen, sheikh, and it's a sultan, president, and Hitchcock also. It's a queen from Dutch queen. Yeah. And who is this guy? Close to her. It's a French president for 6 months. Ask them what kind of music they perform, because we don't have music for that. They did not remember now. And I decided to use Imperator fanfare because it's Republic. So finally, everybody, the hall is complete. Everybody inside. Yes? And okay, now it's one ritual moment. And now I'm in very complicated situation because what can be higher all of that? And I have to find something which is like a nuclear explosion. You know, understandable in one moment, it cannot be a part of performance. It must be understandable in one moment, in short moment, what it means and why these people come. And I was happy to find this moment. Without that, it's no film, it's just a joke, not more. Yeah, and this moment create meaning, concept, and film. What is a moment? So we forget about all queen, king, president, all these people. Because of that moment, they all come to listen this moment of genius, which is most important than everything what exists in the world. My point of view. And I have finished somehow this film. This is end of Magic Flöte. It's not and every night. So, and when I show this, when we made this film and I showed to my producers, they asked me when it happened. I understand that I won. So, this is magic of cinema. Editing, beautiful music, beautiful people. Nobody understands anything. And everybody have a pleasure to watch it. So this footage they shot during 15 years. From end of 50s till, I don't know, end of 60s or beginning of 70s. And after that, unfortunately, this tradition is gone. So, and yes. And we also try to edit in a special way, how to just to be always fast. And in this film, you have seen 4 presidents of Giscard d'Estaing, few times de Gaulle, Georges Pompidou, and the other guy who I didn't remember. His 6 months was a president. Yeah. So, okay. We continue now. It means that it was not a time, it's an illusion of time. And always when I work with time, doesn't matter for archive film or for films which I made and shoot now. I always thinking about this kind of illusion. What kind of illusion we have? Because this is the first request what director have to think about that. How time is moving. It's a whole day. It's like we jump in time, and but what is a time universe in that film? So, and I created this kind of one day or one evening from many sequences from different, but each sequence have his own time. Like if you take this sequence separately, it's own time. But when you edit sequence by sequence, you create something else.
Yeah, you create an illusion of seamlessness, so it all flows
Yeah,
as
yeah.
if it is one night.
Yeah. But this is focus.
Yeah, it's impressive editing. I was wondering whether the Marx Brothers were on your mind.
You
A
know,
night at the opera.
because they happened at the beginning of cinema, even Lumiere. You know, it's strange that Lumiere's, they created all genre.
Well, the Marx Brothers are 35. You know, not
Yeah,
quite at the beginning.
Yeah, but yes, of course, here everything
back.
exists. Even if I don't know, we haven't seen films because the reflection of the films which they produced already exist everywhere. Because cinema language is a language of communication, and our culture is visual culture, more or less, bigger than other side of our culture and other perceptions. And yeah, it exists everywhere. We read it everywhere.
And I was also wondering, did the opera people like this rendition of their opera? Did they appreciate it?
The people from Opera Garnier,
Yeah,
very much.
Very much.
Of course.
Okay. Yeah. Because, of course, I mean, there is also an underlying critique, right? You know, of the masses, the crowd is
course
kept out.
It's an elite
at
art.
the beginning and at the end.
But it's not a critique. Of course, we critic or not critic, it's a point of view. But was created as a political institute.
Of course.
Exists this the idea, of course, exists inside.
Is the Shah there as well? The Shah?
Shah? What is
Shah, Iran.
Ah, yes, Shah also.
He is also there. I couldn't spot
Yes.
him, but okay, excellent. So, you know, it struck me that this film too, you know, so the more I've listened to you speak and also watched the films, I see you more and more in conversation with Vertov. And this film also, like Man with the Movie Camera, right, is about assembling an audience to see a spectacle. But it's, of course, unlike Man with the Movie Camera. They're not watching themselves on screen, but they are watching the star of the evening, right? So also with the previous film, you had told me that it's a response to Vertov enthusiasm, the Donbass Symphony Factory, right? So could you say a little bit about, you know, sort of that, your ongoing conversation with Vertov?
Yes, but if you edit, I can also edit in Vertov style if I edit all this boring process very fast, like brick, 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 you know, different people, and it will looks like a dance, yes? If you just, leave how it is with time, you have another impression. That from first impressions, the work is created. People are very active. They create vault and etc. Yes, and second way, it's work kill, and it's a matter of editing. No, with editing you influence the concept and create thought, and itself footage means nothing.
It's the constellation.
Yes, the way how you present that, and this concept of affect. When you follow pattern, you can create emotion from spectator. I mean the pattern with a rhythm of editing, doesn't matter what. I can collect different kind of my, fragment from from opera, from anything. And we'll repeat the same pattern. And spectators will feel emotion without meaning.
Just by the rhythm of it.
This is, yes, a concept of affect.
Yeah.
Which, who wrote about that? It's Петербург. Кто написал Петербург?
Yeah.
Yes, Белый, точно. And his father was a mathematician. Yes. And he has this essay about that. Yeah.
So the affect in factory then is, I don't quite see the dying, right? But it's the overwhelming speed of that conveyor belt that really creates a kind of the moment of tiredness in the worker. But so why do you mean? What do you mean by they are dying?
Dying, what do you mean?
You said death. The second part is about death. Kills?
No, second part not about death, about the work which can kill.
Working that kills.
Yes, of course.
Right.
Can create from people dust.
Oh, it grinds them to dust.
Yes,
Okay.
this is allegorical images in the end.
Yeah, I mean it's
so beautiful, but after that, these old people who work there, they are 30.
They are
30, 35-year old.
Okay. They don't get old. Yeah.
They looks very old, after this kind of
this kind of work. Yeah. So that film is also, reminiscent of Harun Farocki's In Comparison, which was later, 2009, which we have shown here also at PFA, which is this kind of global look at brick production, bricks. But it, compared to that one and also to the Donbass Symphony, of course, this is the anti-enthusiasm, right? About this kind of industrial labor, right? It's not. It really takes us into that space and shows us both the beauty and the grind. Yeah.
Maybe, but I shot that not for this idea. I just find idea to keep it all together.
Okay.
I shot it because it's a beautiful texture.
Yes, it is very beautiful.
And people inside there, and
the color.
Color,
scheme,
fantastic, yes.
Absolutely, yes. And
This is a painting.
And the long takes, and then this machinery. How come there was a Krupp factory in Russia?
It was Nobel also has petroleum factories. They produced petroleum in the Russian Empire, and Hughes. It was many colonizators, even in the area where now war in Donbass. These people create factories.
They were also
They
German
were
factories.
not only German, Belgium, and I don't know. International, yes. Swedish and British. John Hughes. It is Donetsk. It's Hughesovka. John Hughes built this city.
Okay. Yeah, there are other things we can talk about. The sound, of course, is something that people have been wondering about, your principles for selection and combination of sound and image, and then also the humorous moments. But let's open it up to the audience and see what kind of questions people might have. Do we have? Yes, we have. Wait a minute. The mic is coming your way. You need to wait for the mic to come your way. Here.
In the factory in the beginning, I wonder when that factory was running, because it seems awfully primitive, or awfully grim for a steel factory.
Mm-hmm. Primitive.
It's a primitive. They produced all this stuff. They produced for USA. At that time, it was a request to produce this because it's a special sort of clay, which is very protective from the high temperature, and they use it in steel industry. And when we shot in 2004, this factory protected by special, this security with Kalashnikov. They check everybody, and it is like 2 line of security.
You didn't shoot that?
Huh?
You didn't shoot
it was not my idea to shoot them.
Yeah, I worked in a steel factory about, 40 years ago, and it was so much different from that. It was, when I say primitive, the people got so close to the steel, it just seemed really harsh. I've never seen a steel factory that, dangerous.
Yeah, this is almost going to be a full-on question, because I had some similar observation the moment we stepped into the factory. Every factory I've been to has a sign that says 1 day since last accident or 10 days since last accident. And I was wondering what was the average time between accidents at that factory where somebody got hurt. You filmed there for a week, so
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So were there any incidents?
No, nothing happened, It's not steel factory. They produce something for themselves, for their purpose. But they have this oven for steel too, which are quite old, of course. But I'm sure that they still use it. But it is a kind of magic for these people. When the steel is ready, they are so happy to work with that and manage everything and to feel like a god. It's a so hard job, but this is I felt always.
But they die a slow death.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have, first here, yes.
Hi. I saw a state funeral a few years ago, and I thought it would be really terrific if you would consider making a film about Donald Trump and what we've been through.
Funeral, you mean?
What was
Funeral? What?
waiting for the funeral, right?
I like your the way you observe historical events, and that you respect the audience in what you're presenting on the screen and on the soundtrack. And I really feel that your outsider status, if you decided to make a film about something with the United States of America, that the way you look at history and contemporary times, we really could use you making a documentary about anything in America, but especially Mr. Trump. I think that would be really worthwhile. I don't know, have you ever thought to make a film about something with the American political system?
So, how he became a president? How it happened? Serious question. Who chose him and why? Yeah. And we'll see in future what happened. Yeah, I think it will be a lot of noise and nothing more.
A lot of noise.
Noise, yes, and nothing more. Yeah.
Let's hope so.
Yeah, and you know, this machine is very heavy to turn, and you know, I think this kind of people was born for just being on the stage and just express many things. We'll see a result.
Yes. I think this gentleman was first and then in the middle.
Thank you so much for these films. I'm interested in the fact that you decided to make a film about that factory, which, as you said, was mortally a murderous place of monotony. But I think that the imagery and that you put together there evoke the archetypal blacksmith mythic sense of fire that goes back to Hephaestus and the Greeks, and goes to you know, just the people who master fire like that, and the mystery of fire. There's something very primal about it. And I was amazed that the sound person was only there for 2 days. But it still gave you enough sound that you could map it and match it to all the varieties of footage, including even the Dutch maidens in the clay works who looked like a Vermeer as they lined up in front of the window. I mean, you found great beauty in that location as you filmed there. I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit about where you choose to shoot yourself as opposed to using the found footage like you did so beautifully at the opera.
I mean, the beauty you found in that location, almost the Vermeer-like images.
Okay, thank you. But yeah, it's just I follow my intuition, and even when I don't know what kind of film I will shoot there, if I just magnetized by something, and I feel that it will be good on film, or it's possible to catch it on film, I shoot and go. And after that, I will find narrative. I will find the way how to organize. Once we travel also with a camera, with film, with team, with 4 people. We just traveled in Russian countryside. And I'm looking something which I want to shoot, but I don't know. Without any idea, with just wish to shoot film. Short film, I have possibility, short film on black and white, okay. And we didn't find anything. And when we coming back, I have to just test camera. And during all this trip, we on the road, if we watch met some interesting person who was just walking, we stopped and make a photo, just for ourselves, because they all have a fantastic, interesting dress, unbelievable, and chapeau, kepi, and everything, and figure, and. And I thought that maybe we will stop once and make on film, to shoot this person on film, just to test camera. And when we did it, I realized that this person in front of camera, when I say just look to the camera and nothing else, somehow escape from reality. From this movement, from this life, and I thought that maybe we can catch this moment when people out of on film, and we did few tests like that. When I developed, I just watch on screen and realized that yes, we can shoot film. And after, we just looking for these people, and we traveled during half a year, 3 seasons, and from St. Petersburg to Volga and coming back. It's a 2,000 kilometer and come back, because I'm looking at this different landscapes and interesting people. And after that, I made a film which named Portrait. And it is portrait of people who just looking to the camera. The portrait of whole body, and they are staying, white plan, landscape, and they stay and look to the camera. Very interesting film. You know, this is how film coming to me.
I think we need to. I think we have one last question, and then I would also like to ask you about your current projects briefly. But let's hear the last question.
Thank you for your work. My question is about your studying in documentary. I know that you came to it late in your career, having been an engineer before. Like, how did it come? Like, what was the call to be a documentary maker?
I study as a feature film director, not documentary.
You went to GIG when you were...
Oh, yes.
It was pretty late.
Yeah, yes, but it happened in 1991 when Soviet Union collapsed, and everything is moving in country. I would like to have one more graduate education, like not technical, not engineer, but I don't know, literature, or I would like to be a writer or historian, or maybe filmmaker, but in film industry you have everything all of that. You know, to study art, for example, everything as a film director I use, and I work with all of that. So, and I came to film school and smelled that it's my place. Just look around and understand that I'm in the right place. But I understand that, yes, it is my duty when I made third film. Like in 2000, I entered film school in 1991. 10 years later, I was sure that it is, I'm on the right way. So, but it was not easy because I was rejected 2 times. I didn't pass exam. And last time I just came to my master. We have a master system, like one person taking care about 10 students from the beginning till end. And I came to her. She is Georgian director Nana Georgiadze. And I said, I don't have time, wait next year. And she said, yes, of course, come to us and you will be, how to say, student without right to be a student, but
Auditor.
Auditor, yes. And I spent 2 years like that. And after they just, yeah,
Took you in.
took me, yes. But after 2 years in this school, it's impossible not to passing any exam.
So I understand your documentaries. You have your own production company, Atom and Void, right? You produce the documentaries yourself.
Now,
fiction,
yes. Now, yes.
Now, yes. Mhm.
And the first film was the title is "Today We Are Going to Build a House," which is a good idea. And we shot from window from the flat of my friend, and we observed during 2 months how rebuilt house in like 100 meters from this window in Moscow. This is Russian workers, and they try to avoid work, and you know. And we also shot 2 months till the moment when money is over and film stock is over. We shot everything without any concept, just everything what was interesting. And after during editing, concept was created, but it's a student film when you just don't know what it means. This phenomena, just touched that first touch, and it was also we create like 1 day from morning till evening. And nobody do anything, and people try to not to work in special way. It is a comedy film, and night and morning, house is staying like in fairy tale. House is built, you know. It's a fairy tale. So, and it was a 30-minute film, my first and last film in film school.
That's why it took you 10 years.
Yes, I studied 7 years.
But now you have your production company.
I work with
and you're
different...
working on several projects, even while you're here. I gather you're working
Yes,
on
yes, yes.
projects. So what is
And
what is next?
Next time, when I come, I will present this project.
So what is
Here.
it?
Yeah, it's also from footage and from something.
So that's the Soviet Union.
Yes,
In
this
the
is
70s.
Soviet Union. This is yes. You
So-
know, it's a huge, a lot of work because we don't have in proper way writing history of our country. It's this unpredictable history, and almost like 90% of all documentary films was pure Soviet propaganda, which washing heads of many people. It's not only United or USSR problem. It's everywhere,
as
you
we
know.
know, right?
Everywhere this kind of things. Yes, and sometimes it's good to make something reasonable from that, not only washing machine. Yes, and I tried to use, I made this film which named it Review from this exception from these film reels, news reels, Soviet news reels, but I would like to show how propaganda work and you know, make a film, serious film from that. Film named Review in 2008. Yes, yes, yes. Or представление, Vorstellung. In German, it's much more, yes, correct. Vorstellung. It's like vision more.
Performance and vision. Right?
Performance and vision, yes. And I use all this and from footage from propaganda and make a lot of jokes with them. And my aim was start from like observation, like spectators observing what happened, and after that slowly involve spectators inside film and washing a little bit his brain and washing in culmination in 100% his brain influence, you know, his position is changed, his subject become an object, and after cold shower at the end.
Well,
This is a concept.
I think that's a nice image to end on. You know? So cinema as washing machine and cold shower. You know?
Not always, but you know, it's interesting to play with all of that because it's a game, but serious, very serious.
Okay. Well, Sergei.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you.